There is a Japanese word that explains a kind of pain you've been living with for years, even if you've never said it out loud. It's not burnout. It's not depression. It's not laziness. It's the silent pressure that builds behind your ribs when life keeps demanding more than you feel capable of giving. It's the heaviness in your chest when another day begins and you already feel behind. It's the exhaustion that no amount of sleep fixes. It's that quiet moment late at night when you're scrolling endlessly because you're afraid that if you stop, the thoughts you've been avoiding will catch up to you. It's the feeling that everyone else your age is moving forward while you're just barely holding your life together. The Japanese call this pain Gaman, the art of enduring the unendurable with dignity. Not collapsing, not giving up, not running away, but holding on, even when holding on feels impossible. And whether you've realized it or not, you've been practicing Gaman for a long time. You've been carrying responsibilities no one sees. You've been fighting silent battles no one applauds you for. You've been pretending you're okay because you don't want to worry the people you love. You've been trying to rebuild yourself quietly without asking for help, hoping that maybe one day the world stops feeling so heavy. You're not weak for feeling like this. You're not broken. You're not behind. You're human, living in a world that keeps asking for more while giving you less time, less clarity, less space to breathe. And tonight, you're going to hear a story that might finally explain why you haven't given up yet. Why there is still something inside you refusing to let go, even on the days you feel like disappearing. Before we begin, take a moment. If you want content that doesn't scream motivation at you, that doesn't lie to you, that doesn't throw cheap positivity in your face, but instead gives you stories, philosophy, and truth that actually changes you from the inside, then subscribe to this channel. Like the video and comment. One thing you're quietly struggling with right now. Writing it down doesn't make you weak. It makes the burden real. And real burdens can finally be faced. Now we begin our story. The story begins with a young man named Ren, a 24-year-old who lives in a cramped apartment overlooking the neon glow of Shibuya. From the outside, his life looks normal enough. A steady job at a small marketing firm, a few friends he sees on weekends, a family who checks on him but not too often. Nothing dramatic, nothing catastrophic. And yet every morning Ren wakes up with a heaviness he cannot explain, a weight that sits on his shoulders before he even opens his eyes. The alarm rings at 6:30 a.m. Ren turns it off immediately, not because he is ready to rise, but because the sound feels like a judgment. He stays there for a moment, staring at the ceiling, wondering why. Getting out of bed feels like climbing a mountain. He isn't depressed, not clinically. He isn't burned out, not officially. But his soul feels tired, like he's been running a marathon at walking speed, never fast enough to get anywhere, never slow enough to rest. He checks his phone. Notifications, emails, messages from his manager asking for revisions he finished last night. A picture of a friend who just landed a new job at a big tech company. Another friend getting engaged. Someone he went to school with bought a car. Someone else bought a house. Ren scrolls, not because he likes it, but because stopping would mean facing the ache inside him. The quiet panic of falling behind even though he is doing everything he can just to stay afloat. He finally gets up, splashes water on his face, and walks to work through the crowds of commuters. Tokyo moves around him like a river, forceful, unstoppable. Everyone seems to know where they're going. Everyone seems to have a purpose. Ren doesn't. Not really. He goes to his office, completes tasks, sits through meetings, nods at the right times, pretends to care about campaigns and metrics and quarterly projections. His boss praises his reliability. His coworkers praise his calm. They don't know that his calm isn't calm at all. It's numbness. They don't know that he eats lunch alone, not because he prefers solitude, but because the effort of conversation feels too heavy on certain days. They don't know that after work, when he takes the train home, he sits by the window watching reflections pass by and feels like he is disappearing just a little more each night. Ren doesn't complain. He doesn't tell anyone. He doesn't break down. He endures, quietly, silently. This is the world of Gaman, the world where young people suffer without spectacle, without applause, without recognition. One night after a draining day that felt identical to the one before, yet Ren's train was delayed. He found himself wandering aimlessly through an unfamiliar neighborhood. The streets were quieter here, the lights dimmer. He walked without thinking, lost in his own mind, until he noticed an old wooden gate tucked between two modern buildings. It didn't belong there, too old, too weathered, too still. Above the gate was a small wooden sign with fading kanji Gaman dojo. Behind the gate was a courtyard, and beyond that, a modest training hall lit by warm lanterns. Ren had no idea why he stepped closer. Maybe curiosity, maybe exhaustion, maybe some instinct deep inside him that knew he needed something, anything, to shake him out of this invisible fog. He slid the gate open and walked toward the dojo, just as an elderly man stepped into view. His posture was straight, his eyes sharp. His presence radiated a calm so deep it almost felt like gravity. Ren froze, embarrassed. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to intrude." The old man studied him quietly. "You look tired," he said. Ren opened his mouth to deny it, but the words stuck. The man continued, "Young people today carry weights they never speak of. You hold too much inside." Ren didn't know how this stranger could see through him so easily. "It's nothing," Ren muttered. "I'm just stressed from work." The old man smiled, not mocking, not pitying, but as if Ren had said something he had heard thousands of times. Work is rarely the thing that breaks a person. It is the silent battles, the thoughts, the expectations, the loneliness. Ren felt something tighten in his chest. For a moment, his eyes stung. He looked away. The old man gestured toward the dojo. "Come, sit with me." Ren hesitated, then followed him. They stepped inside, where the tatami mats covered the floor. The air smelled faintly of cedar and old paper. It felt like stepping out of time, like the chaos of the city had been cut off by the sliding door behind them. The man poured tea and handed Ren a cup. "My name is Master Sato," he said. "I teach Gaman not as a word, but as a way of living." Ren frowned. "Isn't Gaman just enduring?" Sato shook his head. "Enduring is the surface. True Gaman is transformation through pressure. It is what plants do underground, what metal does in fire, what people do when life refuses to become easier." Ren took a sip of tea. It was warm and grounding. But how, he asked, "How do you endure without breaking?" Master Sato looked at him with eyes that felt ancient. "By learning the difference between what must be carried and what must be set down." Ren sat quietly. Something inside him, some small fragile part, leaned toward those words like a plant toward sunlight. "You're carrying too many things," the master continued, "but not the ones that strengthen you, only the ones that drain you." Ren swallowed hard. "I don't know how to change that." "Then, let us begin with a story," Sato said. "The story of someone who once felt exactly as you do. He placed the teapot down, folded his hands, and began. And just like that, the air in the dojo changed. Ren leaned in without meaning to. It was the first time in months, maybe years, that he felt something other than exhaustion. The story, Sato said, was about a young woman named Hana, who lived many generations ago in a fishing village on the northern coast. Hana was known in her village not for beauty or strength or talent, but for her quietness. She was reliable, hardworking, always present, but never recognized. She woke before dawn, helped repair nets, cleaned fish cooked for the elders, fetched water, tended to the boats, all without complaint. People assumed she was content. They assumed silence meant peace. They didn't see that she carried the weight of an entire family on her shoulders after her father died and her mother fell ill. They didn't see her exhaustion. They didn't see her loneliness. They saw the surface, not the storm underneath. One winter, a brutal typhoon devastated the village. Boats were shattered. Homes were destroyed. Food was scarce. Hana worked harder than ever, barely sleeping, sacrificing her own needs to keep everyone else alive. She hid her fear. She hid her pain. She hid the truth that she was breaking. One night, crossing a cliffside path to help a neighboring family, Hana slipped. She should have fallen into the waves, but she didn't. She caught herself on a jagged rock, slicing her palms open as she hung over the drop. Blood dripped into the roaring sea. Her breath trembled. She wanted to let go. She wanted the weight to disappear. She wanted just for 1 second to not be the strong one. But she didn't let go, not because she wasn't tired, not because she wasn't hurting, but because something inside her whispered, "Not yet." She pulled herself up, palms burning, tears streaming down her face, not of weakness, but of release. When she stood again, something had changed. The storm outside was still raging, but the storm inside had steadied. That Master Sato said was Gaman strength, not from perfection, but from choosing to stay when running would be easier. Ren sat silently for a long moment. "So Gaman is just enduring pain forever?" he asked finally. Sato shook his head. "No, Gaman is choosing who you become because of the pain. Most people resist suffering. They fight it, deny it, drown it, numb it. And so, suffering shapes them into someone smaller. But those who practice Gaman allow suffering to carve them into someone stronger. They don't break. They transform." Ren stared at his hands. "I don't feel strong," he whispered. "Strength," Sato said, "is not a feeling. It is a direction." Ren looked up, and for the first time in a long while, he felt something shift in him. Not a miracle, not a sudden burst of motivation, just a small, steady flame so quiet it could easily be missed. But it was there, and it was enough. Master Sato's story lingered in Ren's mind long after the words faded into the quiet of the dojo. He stared at the tatami floor, letting the image of Hana clinging to the cliffside burn itself into his thoughts. He felt strangely seen, like someone had finally put a mirror to a part of him he had spent years avoiding. He was like Hana in more ways than he had ever admitted, dependable to the point of self-destruction, silent even when drowning, bending until he nearly broke all while pretending nothing hurt. Why did Hana keep going? Ren asked softly, as if afraid of disturbing the stillness around them. Sato poured another cup of tea, the steam rising in delicate tendrils. Because even when she was at the edge, she understood something. "You have not yet learned," the master said. "Pain is not always the enemy. Sometimes, pain is the sculptor." Ren frowned. The idea felt too poetic to be practical. "But pain just hurts." "Yes," Sato said. "But discipline hurts too. Growth hurts too. Becoming someone you are proud of hurts too. Pain is not the problem. Meaning is. That word meaning landed heavily on Ren's shoulders. Because if he was honest, that was exactly what he felt he had lost. His life wasn't unbearable. It was meaningless in a slow, suffocating way. 1,000 small demands, draining him one drop at a time. He stared at the tea in his hands. "So what do I do?" he asked. Sato smiled gently. "You begin. The way. All real change begins with a single, honest admission. I cannot keep living like this." When you truly accept that the path to transformation appears. Ren didn't respond. He didn't have to. The silence between them said everything. Sato continued, "You must understand something about this era you're living in. Young people today carry weights no generation before. You carried constant comparison, endless information, invisible expectations, the pressure to always be improving, always performing, always achieving. But humans were not built to run at this pace. You are being asked to climb a mountain while pretending it is a smooth road. It is not weakness to feel exhausted. It is simply human." Ren's chest tightened again, but differently this time. Less like panic, more like recognition. He had always blamed himself for not being strong enough. He had never considered the possibility that the problem wasn't him, but the world he was trying to survive in. Master Sato stood and motioned for Ren to follow. They walked to the back of the dojo, where the lantern light dimmed into a softer glow. On the far wall were 7 wooden plaques, each carved with a single kanji. Sato placed his hand on the first one, Woman Gaman. "This is the foundation," he said. But Gaman has levels, layers, depth. What most people practice is the lowest form, mere survival. Holding on because you don't know what else to do. But true Gaman is conscious, intentional, transformative. It is the art of carrying hardship correctly. Ren tilted his head. "Correctly," Sato nodded. "Some burdens strengthen the back. Others break it. You must learn to tell the difference." He pointed to the next plaque, Ren Nin. "Patience under pressure." This is where most people fail. When life gets difficult, they want relief, escape, distraction. But pressure is what turns potential into ability. Think of bamboo. It does not grow fast in its first years. It grows roots. Deep, unseen, essential. If you judge bamboo by its first 3 years, you think it is weak. But if you judge it by the next 3 years, you see it explode with growth. Humans are the same. Ren swallowed because that metaphor felt painfully accurate. His 20s had felt like root growing, slow, invisible, unrewarded. Maybe he wasn't stuck. Maybe he was building something he couldn't yet see. Sato walked to the third plaque, Naitai. "Endurance," he said. "Not the kind that breaks you, but the kind that expands you. When you go to the gym, your muscles tear so they can rebuild stronger. Emotional endurance is the same. You don't get stronger by avoiding discomfort. You get stronger by moving through it with intention." Ren exhaled long and slow. His whole life he had tried to avoid discomfort, scrolling, zoning out, postponing difficult conversations, sidestepping risks. He had never trained himself to endure anything consciously. He had only survived passively. No wonder he felt stuck. Sato pointed to the next plaque, Ji Kokorozashi. "Purpose," he said. "The direction you walk, even when the ground beneath you is shaking. Without purpose, Gaman becomes suffering. But with purpose, Gaman becomes evolution." Ren felt a sting behind his ribs. He didn't have a purpose, not a real one. He had goals, earn money, not disappoint people, stay afloat. but no direction that meant something. Sato stepped back and looked at Ren. "Tell me," he said, "why do you endure?" Ren opened his mouth and nothing came out. The truth was uncomfortable. He wasn't enduring for a dream. He was enduring because he didn't know what else to do. "Don't know," he admitted. Sato nodded. "Good. That means we can begin." They sat again on the tatami, and Sato told another story. This one about a craftsman named Mori, who lived in Kyoto during the Edo period. Mori was known for crafting shoji screens so delicate that you could see candlelight glow through the paper like spilled moonlight. His work was admired across the region. One year Mori faced a great tragedy. His workshop burned down in a sudden fire. All his tools, his materials, the screens he had spent months perfecting, they were reduced to ash in minutes. Mori stood in the ruins of his life, his hands covered in soot, and everyone expected him to collapse under the despair. But he didn't. For weeks afterward, people saw him walking silently through the burned remains, kneeling, touching the charred wood with the tenderness of someone listening to a wounded friend. Eventually, he rebuilt his workshop with the little money he had left. When he crafted his next screens, he didn't try to make them exactly like before. He made them better, more refined, more intentional. When asked how he found the strength, he said, "Fire destroyed my work, not my purpose. Purpose cannot burn." Ren listened, breath shallow. "So Gaman is staying alive long enough to become who you're supposed to be?" Sato smiled. "Yes, but more than that. Gaman is trusting the process, even when you cannot see progress. It is believing there is a version of you waiting on the other side of hardship, a version that cannot exist unless you walk through the fire." Ren felt the words sink into the places inside him he had ignored for too long. For the first time in fear, he didn't feel ashamed of his exhaustion. He understood it. His struggle wasn't a failure. It was pressure. Pressure that had been shaping him in ways he never noticed. Pressure that might even become a source of strength. Master Sato, Ren said quietly, "I want to learn Gaman. Truly learn it." Sato nodded as if he had expected this answer. "Then come back tomorrow at dawn." Ren blinked. "Tomorrow?" Transformation, Sato said, begins when you choose consistency over comfort. Ren left the dojo that night, walking differently. Not confidently, not heroically, but with a sense of direction he hadn't felt in years. The city lights no longer mocked him. The crowds no longer overwhelmed him. The weight on his shoulders was still there, but it felt organized, named, shared. He wasn't healed, he wasn't transformed, but he wasn't lost anymore. And sometimes, that's the first miracle. Ren returned to the dojo the next morning just before dawn, the sky still tinted with the faded blue of night. The city was quiet in a way he rarely experienced. No crowds, no traffic, no overwhelming noise. Just cold air, empty streets, and a sense that something inside him had shifted. He didn't feel strong. He didn't feel ready, but he felt present. And for once, that was enough. Master Sato was already outside, sweeping the courtyard with slow, deliberate strokes, as if each motion was a kind of meditation. He didn't look up when Ren approached. "You came," he said calmly. "Good." Ren bowed awkwardly. "I said I would." Sato gave a small smile. "In this world, many people say what they do not do. Your presence is your first lesson." They moved inside the dojo. The lanterns glowed faintly, revealing a space that felt unchanged by time. Sato motioned for Ren to kneel. "Today," he said, "you will learn the 3 pillars of Gaman, the practices that shape inner endurance into transformation." Ren's heart beat faster, expecting something philosophical or poetic. Instead, Sato said, "First breathing." Ren blinked. "Breathing." Sato nodded. "You endure nothing if you cannot return to yourself." He placed Ren's hands on his lower abdomen. "Breathe as if you are filling your center with strength. Slow, controlled, deep." Ren inhaled, but the breath caught in his chest. The master shook his head. Again. Ren tried, and again his breath faltered. "You are breathing from fear," Sato said. "Fear breathes shallow. Strength breathes deep." They repeated the process again and again until Ren's breaths finally settled into a slow, grounded rhythm. His body relaxed. His mind quieted. For the first time in months, the tension behind his ribs loosened. This, Sato said, is the root. Without calm breath, life will crush you. The second pillar was less gentle. Sato led Ren to the center of the dojo, where a single wooden beam stood upright. "Strike it," Sato said. Ren frowned. "With what, your hand?" Ren hesitated. "Won't that hurt?" Sato's eyes sharpened. Strength without discomfort is fantasy. Ren swallowed, then struck the beam with his palm. A jolt of pain shot up his arm. Sato nodded. Again. Ren hit it again, harder. The sting intensified. Sato stood beside him. "Pain is not your enemy. Listen to it. Understand it. It will teach you your limits, and then it will teach you how to grow beyond them." They continued until Ren's hand tingled with heat and dull pain. But something strange happened the more he struck, the more alive he felt. It wasn't about violence. It was about presence, focus, resistance. Sato eventually placed a hand on Ren's shoulder. "Enough. The purpose is not to damage your hand. It is to learn that discomfort is a doorway, not a wall." The third pillar was the one Ren didn't expect. Sato sat before him, eyes soft. "The final pillar of Gaman," he said, "is acceptance." Ren tensed at the word. Acceptance sounded like giving up. Sato noticed. Acceptance is not surrender. Acceptance is clarity. You cannot endure life if you lie about what life is. You cannot grow if you deny what hurts. Gaman is not pretending everything is fine. It is saying, "This is difficult, and I continue." Sato leaned in slightly. "Tell me one truth you have been avoiding." Ren looked down at his hands, at the faint bruises forming across his knuckles. His throat tightened. The words came out small, but honest. "I feel like I'm falling behind." Sato nodded, encouraging him. Ren continued, voice trembling. "Everyone I know seems to be moving forward, getting promotions, relationships, traveling, doing something with their lives. And I'm just enduring, day after day, doing things I don't care about, pretending I'm okay when I'm not." His chest ached as he spoke. "And I'm scared," he whispered. "Scared that this is all I am. That I'll never become more than this." Silence enveloped the dojo. Sato finally said, "Good." Ren looked up confused. "Good." "Yes," Sato said. "This is the first time you have stopped lying to yourself. Pain acknowledged is pain reduced." He touched Ren's chest gently. "Everything you just said, every fear, every doubt, is part of your story. But it is not the ending. It is the fire." Ren felt a lump in his throat, but Sato wasn't done. Young people are told they must rise quickly, achieve quickly, become someone impressive before they are even someone stable. But bamboo does not rush. Mountains do not rush. The tide does not rush. Only insecure hearts rush. Ren felt the words settle deep within him. Sato continued, "You are not behind. You are underground, growing roots that no one sees yet." They trained for weeks that way. Ren would arrive at dawn, breathing deeply, striking the beam, listening to Sato's teachings. He didn't transform overnight. There were still days he woke tired, days he felt hopeless, days he questioned everything. But something inside him had shifted. He stopped expecting life to get easier. And oddly, that made everything easier. He stopped resisting his discomfort. He stopped panicking when he felt lost. He stopped pretending that everything was fine and instead started asking himself, what is this moment trying to teach me? And every time he did, he found the answer was the same Gaman. Grow through pressure, not away from it. One rainy evening, Ren arrived late, soaked from head to toe. His manager had piled unexpected work on him again. The trains were delayed. His phone was full of messages he didn't have energy to answer. He entered the dojo exhausted. "I'm sorry, master," he said. Sato looked at him for a long moment. "You're carrying something heavy tonight," he said. Ren nodded, too tired to lie. Sato motioned for him to kneel. "Tonight," he said, "you will learn the final truth of Gaman, knowing when to rest." Ren frowned. "Rest," Sato nodded. "Endurance is not infinite. Even mountains crumble if they never receive rain." He handed Ren a towel. "Sit, breathe, do nothing else." Ren hesitated. But as he sat listening to the gentle patter of rain on the roof, he realized something profound. Rest wasn't weakness. Rest was part of strength. It was the inhale after an exhale, the rebuilding after the fire, the pause that made endurance possible. He closed his eyes, letting the sound of rain soften the tightness inside him. After a long silence, Sato spoke. "You have grown, Ren, not loudly, not visibly, but deeply." Ren opened his eyes slowly. "I don't feel transformed," he admitted. Sato smiled. "Transformation rarely feels like transformation while it's happening. It feels like effort, like patience, like days repeating. Only when you look back do you see how far you've walked." Ren looked at his reflection in the dojo window. He did look different, not in appearance, but in posture, in breath, in the way his eyes no longer darted around with quiet panic. He felt heavier and lighter at the same time, grounded. One morning, weeks later, Ren stood on a hill overlooking the city as the sun rose. The skyline shimmered beneath layers of gold and soft pink. He inhaled deeply, letting the air fill his center, the way Sato taught him. And for the first time in a long time, he didn't feel crushed by the weight of life. He felt shaped by it, strengthened by it. He understood now that suffering was not a sign he was failing. It was a sign he was growing. "This is Gaman," he whispered, "enduring, becoming, transforming." When he returned to the dojo that day, he found Master Sato waiting with 2 cups of tea. "Tell me," Sato said, "what have you learned?" Ren thought for a moment.